Well, welcome everybody to the Boston Garden here in Boston, Massachusetts, and we start off the show with the British Bulldog, and the last time we saw him, at least with the microphone, yeah, I believe it was, I forget if it was him or if it was Bret Hart who called him out, but let's see what he has to say. Whoa, he's extending a formal invitation to have Jim Neidhart join him in the ring. But my question is, why? Well, ask and you shall receive. We have the Anvil, Jim Neidhart, and of course, for the longest time, these two had never really gotten along, but I'm surprised he's calling out Jim Neidhart. I mean, of course, the Hart Foundation has been fragmented in recent weeks, but I wonder what would possess the British Bulldog to call out Jim Neidhart for. Well, it seems to me that Jim is interested in finding out what the British Bulldog has to say. Well, what do you have to say? Apparently he sees Jim Neidhart with the same fire and passion that he has, and that he and Neidhart want to make history and do it together and become the greatest tag team in the history of the industry. Well, you know, that could happen. Given he'll accept, but he's going to keep his eye on him. Okay. That's a very fair and valid point. He won't regret this. And how does he know that? Because the look in his eyes, the desire in his heart, and the will in his veins. It's been inside of me since as long as I can remember, says the British Bulldog. We're going to take things slowly as we figure each other out. If we're not able to get in each other's way, then it's going to be very bad news for everyone else. Rest assured, the longer we stay together, the better we'll become. Consider this your warning. Ooh. Well, I'll tell you one thing. We'll see how this whole thing goes with the Bulldog and Neidhart. But if you're Bret Hart, this cannot be good, especially since he has just recruited Bret Hart's longtime tag team partner, Jim Neidhart, to his side. So I don't know how Bret is going to feel about this, but he knows that if Jim is on board with the Bulldog, that's not going to favor him very well. So if you're Bret Hart, you might want to get some reinforcements, and quick. That's all I have to say about that. But we still have a long night ahead of us, so let's get on with the matches right after this break. Alright, our next match, or our first match of the night, is going to feature the Ultimate Warrior in white against the man in pink and black, Bret Hart, who I was just talking about after that interview that we did. Or actually, it wasn't not even an interview. It was more of a promotional type of thing. But, well, now that the Hitman, or rather his rival, the British Bulldog, has persuaded Bret Hart's longtime tag team partner, Jim the Anvil Neidhart, to his side. Again, I'm not sure how that's going to affect Bret Hart, knowing that he could get double-teamed and jumped 2-on-1 at any time, and a suplex right on the wood, on the hardwood floor of the Boston Garden. And we all know how hard that wood is, and I mean the likes of Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Robert Parrish, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Those kind of guys have put their heart and soul onto that floor, and now it looks like Hart is on the floor, no pun intended, as he's getting beaten down by the Warrior, and it looks like the Warrior, is he going to make it to the ring? But now let's see if Bret Hart is going to make it back in time before the 10 count. No, he does not, as the Ultimate Warrior wins on a count out. So the Warrior just came in, beat up Hart. So as you saw, he got back into the ring before the 10 count was administered. He was at 8 by that point. And Hart, who took a tremendous beating from the Ultimate Warrior, was unable to get back on his feet and get back in the ring. So the Ultimate Warrior has won. And a very good bounce back win, especially after the second round of the King of the Ring tournament, in which he lost to Bob Barker, not because Barker was the better man, but because, well, just simply because the Big Boss Man, albeit he looked a little different, came out and costed the Ultimate Warrior the match. And of course, I'm pretty sure he would like to get some revenge on the Boss Man. However, I'm happy to say that he put it behind him, but I'm pretty sure revenge is on his mind. I know that. But until then, let's find out what our next match is, and that will be next. Alright, we're ready for our second match of the night. And coming out first, where is he? Well, there's Diamond Dallas Page. And I'll tell you one thing. In the first round of the King of the Ring tournament, he came out and he attacked Buddy Roberts, which came as no surprise to me. But in doing so, he costed his opponent, who you'll see in just a moment, but he costed his opponent the match, and as a result, let's just say his opponent is none too happy about it. Not one bit. But while Diamond Dallas Page, I will say, I mean, he has a really good look on him. And I mean, he has the sunglasses. I mean, he's got the awesome hair. I mean, he's got the look. There's no doubt about it. But unfortunately, because of his inexperience and his arrogance, I think he might have picked the worst person you could fight up against. I mean, it's one thing to do it to somebody who's nothing but a punk, but unfortunately, he picked a fight with the Earthquake. Yes, Earthquake was the man who lost his match against Buddy Roberts, and there's still a debate as to whether Earthquake would have destroyed Buddy Roberts, but because of DDP's interference, Buddy Roberts advanced to the second round, and ultimately he is in the third round, is Buddy Roberts, but of course the Earthquake would like to do nothing more than to destroy, I should say, excuse me, tripped on my words here, but to destroy Diamond Dallas Page. And let's find out what's going to happen. Now, of course, DDP, Diamond Dallas Page, has the quickness, but Earthquake has the power. Oh, nice counter onto Earthquake. Way to use the man's own momentum against him. Oh, and then a running knee right to the side of the head of Earthquake. Now going for the legs, and that's exactly what you need to do. Once you have him on the ground, take out the legs. Whips him into the ropes. Oh, nice forearm smash, but that did not knock Earthquake down. Now goes off the ropes again. Nope, Earthquake, being as big as he is, just knocked down DDP. Oh, and then a running knee onto DDP. Diamond Dallas Page. I'll tell you one thing. if Page thinks that he can get away with what he did to the Earthquake, he's going to be sadly mistaken. But of course, Earthquake should not make the mistake of underestimating his opponent as he yanks the top rope and just clotheslines him. Oh, and then a massive headbutt onto Diamond Dallas Page. Nice snapmare. Now going for a head crank onto Earthquake. Then a forearm right to the back. Now he picks up Dallas Page and just slammed him very, very easily. Then a kick right to the back. Now let's see, what's he going to do with him? Now just going to smash him, and then a headbutt right to Diamond Dallas Page. And, oh, and then he just stepped all over his gut, man. Now goes off the ropes. Oh, went for a double axe handle, but Diamond Dallas Page got out of the way. Only to get hip tossed right back inside the ring. Oh, but Diamond Dallas Page not going to go down without a fight. Oh, and a nice leg drop face buster onto Earthquake. And Diamond Dallas Page should not be wasting any time, but he takes down Earthquake off the apron, and now both men are on the floor. And we'll see if this match ends in a countout. Oh, and a nice running knee onto Earthquake. Inverted atomic drop on an Earthquake. Oh, nice arm wringer onto Dallas Page. Oh, but Page reversing that. Now we're up to 7. Oh, and then a kick to the head of Earthquake. And now it looks like Diamond Dallas Page is in control of this one. And oh! What? Oh, and then a powerbomb onto Earthquake. How did he get the strength to do that? He must have had his Wheaties today. Oh, but Earthquake comes back. But I'm surprised that DDP had the strength within him. I didn't realize he was that strong. Oh, but nice counter by the Earthquake. And a punch from the Earthquake. And another leg drop facebuster onto the Earthquake. And out goes the Earthquake. And Earthquake gets right back in. And a power slam onto Dallas Page. Oh, and then a elbow right to the back, and a huge one at that. Oh, nice arm drag onto Earthquake. Then a clothesline onto Earthquake. Of course, DDP gets reversed. But so far, Earthquake, I'll tell you one thing, he's taking it and he's giving it right back to Diamond Dallas Page. And of course, one of these two guys would like to get one over on their opponent. And another running knee onto the side of the head, and is that enough to beat him? 1, 2, no. I mean, both these guys have so much pride on the line. It doesn't surprise me that they're going all out for this one. And Page, nice diving press onto Earthquake. Oh, body splash, that's what it's called, I'm sorry. And Page, whoa, nice series of punches in the clothesline. Is that enough to beat him? 1, 2, 3, and Diamond Dallas Page has won, and for that he takes a 1-0 lead in this feud. And now DDP now leads the feud 1-0 over the Earthquake. And I'll tell you one thing. If Earthquake thought that he was just going to run him down, he was sadly mistaken, because DDP, he knew what he was doing. He knew what he had to do. And he proved to the Earthquake that nothing would stop him. And it didn't. In fact, he just took out the Earthquake just like that. So, big win for Diamond Dallas Page. And, of course, the last time we saw him, he was in that 3-on-3 match. But, of course, I mean, what a way to make a comeback, I mean, against Earthquake of all people. And I understand we have yet another championship match. I forget if that's the next match, but we had a good match. Very, very good match. And for that, we'll see more of this until next time. Or rather, not until next time. Stay tuned for the next match is what I was trying to say. Alright. See you then. Well, now that's very, very good sportsmanship to begin this match. And it is going to be... What the hell? Wait, I did not see James J. Dillon, the man in the suit. He just teleported from there. I mean, I didn't take any drugs, so obviously James J. Dillon has some sort of teleportation powers, because how did he get from the middle of the ring to where Typhoon was? I mean, and he just got the jump on Typhoon. Anyway, this match is for the National Wrestling Alliance's World Television Championship. So this is for the Television Championship of the world, and it's held by the big man, Typhoon, the man in the beard, as he takes on the man in the suit, the challenger, James J. Dillon. And Dillon, I'll tell you one thing, Dillon did pretty well in the tournament. He won in the first round against the heavily favorited Bruno Sammartino. I mean, how he was able to get past Sammartino, I'll never know. But in the second round, he ended up getting a rude awakening from Ravishing Rick Rude. And just like that, Dillon was finished in the tournament. And as for Typhoon, he was as much finished in the tournament, not because he wasn't the better man, but because of the fact that Bushwhacker Butch came out of nowhere. And if I'm not mistaken, if I'm looking at my notes correctly, he was taking on Jimmy Garvin in the first round, but because of Butch's interference, it allowed Garvin to move on to the second round. Of course, Garvin didn't go any further than that, but nonetheless, though, Typhoon would love to get his hands on Butch, as much as he's doing right to James J. Dillon, as Dillon has been busted open, and Dillon is in deep trouble against Typhoon, and in the mood that Typhoon has been in since the King of the Ring first round match that he had with Garvin. He's been in a very, very terrible mood, and I mean, he took out 5 guys to become the champion, and it looks like he's going to try to do the same thing to Dillon, although Dillon turned it around. And the best thing that Dillon can do is try to take down Typhoon and keep him down. But then a snap suplex and a pinfall. 1. No. Kick out by Dillon. And of course, on the other hand, if Dillon goes the distance, he might be able to get Typhoon to get tired, but... Oh, nice counter by Dillon. Oh, and a slap across the face and then ramming the arm. And now, wait a minute, Dillon, what's he doing? What? And he had those damn brass knuckles. I'm telling you one thing. That's what put away Bruno Sammartino. And 1, 2, no, kick out by Typhoon. But now it looks like Dillon has turned the tide in his favor, all because of those damn brass knuckles. I mean, he did that not once, not twice, but 3 times to San Martino, and down goes Typhoon. Although if Typhoon and or Dillon get counted out, then the championship will stay in the possession of Typhoon. But what's Dillon doing? Oh, and a diving clothesline from off the apron onto Typhoon. Then rammed into the apron was Typhoon. Oh, and then a stomp right to the gut. And if Typhoon had a weakness, it had to be the gut. And now sent into the barricade. And it looks like Dillon gets back inside, only to exit. Oh, now it's become a game of cat and mouse. Alright, now both men are back in. Oh, and then a headbutt right to Dillon. I mean, Dillon took his eye off the ball for one moment, and that might cost him. Is that enough? 1, 2. No. I'll give Dillon a lot of credit. A lesser man would have stayed down after that. But Dillon is... I mean, he's more than just a manager. I mean, he is an accomplished wrestler. I mean, he has won multiple championships, especially early on in his career, especially during his time in so many National Wrestling Alliance territories. Now whipped into the barricade, and then just taken down with a chop to the throat. And now it looks like Typhoon is going to give it right back to Dillon. And wait a minute, what's he going to do with Dillon? Oh, and then a power slam right on the floor. I mean, for all I know, Larry Bird must have hit that floor so many times. And I think that slam might have left an imprint, but thrown back in the ring is Dillon, and this could do it. Now he's going to drag him to the center of the ring. Is he going to get the... He gets the pin. 1, 2. No. Too much time was taken to set up for that pinfall, and that helped Dillon get out of it. And Dillon fighting back, hitting the gut. And wait a minute, he had those brass knuckles again, damn it. And now, oh no, wait a minute. Typhoon has been busted open too. No, not quite. He almost had the 3 count, did Dillon. But now, both men are busted open. And now it's a matter of, I would have to think now it swings in the favor of Dillon, because now both men are losing blood. But the one person, but of the 2 of them who could not afford to lose blood, it's got to be Typhoon. Because with all that weight, if you start losing blood, then eventually the oxygen to your brain will be cut off by the fact that you're losing blood. And it also doesn't help that he has a lot of body fat, which is something that Dillon does not have, or has very little of, which works to his advantage. But then another power slam on a Dillon. I'll tell you one thing, even if Dillon does not win this match, he has definitely earned a modicum of respect. I would love to have seen him win without those brass knuckles. I mean, he suffered a splash. Is that enough to beat him? 1, 2, 3, and that was just enough. So Typhoon has retained the television championship, and I'm pretty sure at some point he would love to get his hands on Bushwhacker Luke. Or I'm sorry, Butch. I'm sorry. But still, I mean, this match was back and forth, and Dillon pulled out everything that he could have. He had the brass knuckles, and I mean, given that Dillon wasn't quitting. I mean, I give him a lot of credit for just not quitting. Oh, and there you saw that punch that busted open Typhoon, but it wasn't quite enough to beat him. Oh, but there's that splash. There was the splash that ended him once and for all. And Typhoon is the winner and is still the television champion. But I defy anybody that could beat him one-on-one, especially in a fair fight, because, of course, like I said, Buddy Roberts, he beat him, but not because he was the better man. He won because of disqualification from someone else in Butch, and that was an amazing match. It really was. And not to say, and for Dillon, I mean, he did a great job. As for Typhoon, I mean, he's doing a great job defending the championship, but we still have more matches yet to come, so stay tuned. Those will be coming up right after this. Alright, we're back, and we have a non-title match in the sense that we have the National Wrestling Alliance's World Heavyweight Champion, Dusty Rhodes. And I'll tell you one thing, Dusty Rhodes is without a doubt one of the best wrestlers, whether it be the 1970s or in the 1980s. And I'll tell you one thing, Dusty Rhodes has been through so much. He's been through hell and back, and he's going up against the man in tights, the Honky Tonk Man, without a doubt the World Wrestling Federation's longest reigning Intercontinental Champion of all time. And I mean, after holding on to the championship for that long, I really don't know who's going to break that record. I mean, when Macho Man had it, I mean, he had it for the better part of 15, 16 months, probably 14 months. I forget how long it was exactly, but the previous record holder was Macho Man Randy Savage, but this takes the cake, and a drop kick that missed from the Honky Tonk Man. But yeah, we have the world champion in a non-title match, and I would have to think that if the Honky Tonk Man wins, he would definitely be in line for a championship match with this man, Dusty Rhodes. And I'll tell you one thing, of course, the Honky Tonk Man is still in the King of the Ring tournament. In fact, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he is slated to take on Animal, formerly of the Road Warriors, in the third round. And in fact, we're going to see Animal take on his former tag team partner Hawk in what could be the possible finale of that particular feud. Or, oh, I'm sorry, no, it's not the finale, excuse me, it's tied at 1-1. My fault. But meanwhile, shake, rattle, and roll. Shake, rattle, and roll, that's what he calls that swinging neck breaker. Then a stomp right to the arm of Dusty Rhodes. But of course, that's not, you're going to have to do more than that to beat Dusty. And now Dusty going with those jabs. And, ooh, nice punch. And I'll tell you one thing, Dusty Rhodes, I mean, he does a lot of bobbing and a lot of weaving. Oh, and the bionic elbow. That's another dangerous weapon unto itself. 1, 2, no, kick out by the Honky Tonk Man. I'll tell you one thing, the Honky Tonk Man, I mean, you really cannot sell this man short. I mean, how the hell do you think he held on to the Intercontinental Championship of the World Wrestling Federation for that long? He was resilient. 1. And other times he was just smart, and other times he was very manipulative, especially with Jimmy Hart at his side. And an elbow drop off the top rope. I mean, what leverage does that take to do that to a man that is the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes? And clotheslined on the top rope. And Honky Tonk Man doing a smart thing and staying on him, but a punch right to the gut from the Dream. Then a spinning neck breaker of his own onto the Honky Tonk Man. Now a pinfall on the Honky Tonk Man. 1. No, kick out by the Honky Tonk Man at 1. Now cranking on the head, trying to weaken him. If you're Dusty Rhodes, you definitely want to put away the Honky Tonk Man. The last thing you need is someone like the Honky Tonk Man breathing down your neck for the World Championship. And a nice, I'm not sure what kind of move that was, but that was a very good move by the Honky Tonk Man. But now he picks him up. And, uh-oh, wait a minute. Shake, rattle, and roll once again to Dusty Rhodes, but he did not go for the cover. That might actually be a mistake, but a snap suplex and a pinfall, all but too close to the ropes was Dusty Rhodes. So the ropes saved him. Oh, but I think Honky Tonk is really going to try to put him away this time. Oh, but Dusty, this time a bit more aware of what's going to happen, and another bionic elbow. Could that do it? 1, 2, 3. So Dusty Rhodes, I mean, I'll tell you one thing. At one point, Honky Tonk Man had the match won, but he made the mistake of going for more. Like, there you saw the shake, rattle, and roll. I'm not sure if that was the first one. I think that was, yes. And, of course, Dusty staying on him, delivering that bionic elbow. That was the first one that he had gotten, did the Honky Tonk Man, but it didn't lead to a pinfall. Here you see a second one that the Honky Tonk Man did, and you would think that he'd go for the cover, but he didn't. Instead, he delivered a snap suplex and a pinfall, but was too close to the ropes was Dusty Rhodes. But then Dusty came back, delivered a bionic elbow once again, and that put away the Honky Tonk Man. And look at this. Not the Honky Tonk Man, excuse me. The American Dream just getting down and getting funky like a monkey, as he says. But yeah, there's your world champion. He may look a little different. He may look a little silly, but I'll tell you one thing. When it comes down to business, he gets down to business, if you know what I mean. But we still have more matches yet to come, so stay tuned. Those will be coming up right after this. Alright. Well, we have ourselves a special attraction match in a three-way battle, and it's under sudden death rules. There are no disqualifications, no countouts, and the first person to get a pinfall or submission on anybody will be the one that wins the match. So it's one fall only. So it all just comes down to who can get a pinfall or submission over any one person. So you have three of the biggest stars. I mean, you have Hulk Hogan, probably the biggest star in the World Wrestling Federation. You have Sergeant Slaughter, one of the best to come out of the 1980s. And of course you have the artist of the 1980s, Bob Ross, the man in the afro. But Sergeant Slaughter now going after Hulk Hogan. And a suplex on a Hogan, as Bob Ross is on the outside getting a rest. But of course he cannot stay out there for too long if he hopes to win. And now wait a minute. A double gutbuster onto Sergeant Slaughter. And Hogan has that wrist, what is it, the arm wringer, a super arm wringer flip onto Ross. And then just a sit down move, but Ross fighting back. Oh, nice arm drag onto Hogan, using the man's own weight against him. And earlier we saw Sergeant Slaughter take down or take off the protective covering for the top turnbuckle, and a nice move by Ross. as he took down Sergeant Slaughter. And Hogan is just going to pose, just show off those 24-inch pythons that he has. A belly-to-belly suplex onto Ross. Oh, and then a knee right to the back. And now you have Sergeant Slaughter and Hogan turn to each other now. And what's... Oh, and then just laying him out onto the turnbuckle. And now going for a stump puller. That's what he calls that move, a stump puller. Oh, but countered by Hulk Hogan. Then a clothesline on the Hogan from Ross. Now turns his attention to Slaughter. And for a moment I thought he was going to go for the stroke of genius, was Bob Ross. Belly-to-belly suplex onto Ross. Then a kick right to the face of Ross. Oh, and then a punch right to the head of Bob Ross. Then a back elbow onto Hogan. And it looks like Sergeant Slaughter has this match won. But just when I say that, Bob Ross fighting back. Then whipped into the corner is Ross. Nice counter with the boot. Then a reverse head dropper. Now turns his attention to Hogan. Whipped into the corner is Hogan. Then a clothesline onto Hogan. And a pinfall. 1. No, kick out by Hogan. I mean, you're going to have to do more than that to Hulk Hogan if you're going to win. I mean, you don't beat a Hulk Hogan on just a simple move. You have to do something of great significance. Now going for the calf crusher, but too close to the ropes was Hogan. And now Sergeant Slaughter taking advantage of it and whipped him right into the corner with the unprotected pad. And there's a piece of metal that's on the top turnbuckle. And Ross, feeling the effects of it, now turning his attention to Hogan is Slaughter. Excuse me. Now a pinfall. 1, 2, no. Kick out at 2, very close on Hogan. Now Slaughter has Hogan right where he wants him and ramming the arm of Hogan. If you take out his arm, you definitely take a lot out of Hogan. And just like that, Ross taking down Sergeant Slaughter. Although I'm not sure what Ross is trying to do. Uh-oh. He could be setting up for something. A super flying forearm onto Sergeant Slaughter. Wait a minute. 1, 2. I'll have to turn down my... I'll have to turn down the noise a little bit. Anyway, where was I? Oh, I didn't see what happened there. But it looked like Hogan took down Ross. Wait a minute. 1. No, kick out by Ross. Oh, and then a punch right to the face of Ross, but Ross got back up, only to get some elbows right to the face from Hogan. Nope, countered by Ross. And Ross going for it. Stroke of genius onto Hogan. Then an elbow right to the head of Hogan. And an arm drag onto Sergeant Slaughter. Alright, so now we're down to Slaughter and Ross. Nice, oh, he calls that the Northern Light Suplex. 1. No, kick out by Ross. You're going to have to do more than that to Ross if you're going to beat him. But Hogan on the floor trying to get his, get himself right back together. And another belly-to-belly suplex to Ross. Wait, 1, 2. No, kick out just barely by Bob Ross. And a couple of elbows right to the head of Ross. I don't think that Afro is going to do much help. Wait, 1, 2. Oh, but I think Hogan broke that up a little bit. All right, now Hogan and Slaughter going at each other again. A reverse head dropper onto Hogan. 1, 2. no. And again, Hogan is a very tough nut to crack. And wait a minute. Well, I'm not sure what Slaughter was going to do, but he didn't get it done. And now is just going to pound away on Hogan's face, and Hogan rolls out of the ring. But wait a minute. An innovative facebuster. He calls that the Styles Clash. 2, 3, and Bob Ross has defeated Sergeant Slaughter. And like I said before, you don't have to beat them both. You just have to beat one of them. And Bob Ross just pulled it out of his hat, and he gets the victory. There you saw that flying forearm that he did early in the match. Very big move by Ross. I'm surprised he's able to do some of these crazy moves that he does, especially for a man his age. And then I believe, yep, the stroke of genius on Hogan. But Slaughter was determined to get a pinfall on Ross. I mean, that was his best opportunity. And before Hogan could stop the count, Ross came back. And Ross ended up hitting the Styles Clash, which is that modified facebuster. And he got the win before Hogan could stop it, and gets a big win over Sergeant Slaughter and Hulk Hogan. And I would have to think that puts him closing into the driver's seat of a World Championship match. And if I understand it correctly, Bob Ross is set to fight Bam Bam Bigelow in the 3rd round of the tournament. So he could still get himself an opportunity at the World Championship by winning the tournament. But we still have more matches yet to come, so stay tuned. Those matches will be up right after this. Alright, we are ready for our main event. And without further ado, we have Hawk, formerly of the Road Warriors. And I'll tell you one thing. I mean, like I said before, this whole thing started when Animal just turned his back on Hawk, and Hawk has not forgotten about it, and it was basically an act of jealousy on the part of Animal towards Hawk. I mean, especially since Hawk was given a World Championship match opportunity at Ric Flair at, the Great American Bash of '86, and of course, I never would have thought that Animal would be jealous or harbored any jealousy towards Hawk, but apparently he did, and that's practically how this whole thing came about when, you know, Hawk, he was teaming up with Animal in a tag team match, and Animal just turned his back on him. Just left him for dead, practically. And there you see the Animal. And of course, the fans didn't really appreciate what Animal did towards Hawk, but I'm pretty sure Animal could care less about what the fans think. The only thing he cares about is Animal. He only cares about himself. Which on the one hand doesn't really surprise me, since, you know, Animal would do such a thing. But nonetheless, though, these two guys are going in to this match. It is the 3rd of a best of 5. After 2 matches, Animal won the first one, Hawk won the second to tie it up, and whoever wins this is going to be one step closer to ending it once and for all. And as for who wins, well, I don't know. I really don't. I mean, this is a real toss-up between Animal and Hawk. I mean, because these guys, like, really, Animal outweighs him by a good 15 pounds, but even then, they're an even-Steven type of match. I mean, these guys are big and strong enough. I mean, they're they're practically their own size, so these guys are evenly matched in terms of strength and power. But they also know each other's moves before they even do it, so it's going to come down to who can do something different than the other. And Animal, nope, countered by Hawk. And an atomic drop onto Animal. And then a leg drop onto Animal. And now Hawk gonna fly like a bird and lands the body splash. I mean, very, very well done by the Hawk. And I'm pretty sure anyone who's wondering, why is it that Animal and Hawk are wearing the same attire? Well, quite frankly, they can wear whatever they want. I mean, who am I to tell them that they can't dress alike? But nonetheless, though, they can wear whatever they want. So then again, I'm a pretty big guy, but these guys make anybody they go up against look small in comparison. Except for maybe Andre the Giant, but then again, he is a giant, so what do you expect? Wait for a clothesline did Hawk, but then Hawk picks up and drops Animal. And Hawk sticking out that tongue, you couldn't see it, but he had it on Animal. And then, I mean, of course, to deadlift Animal and just pick him up and slam him for a gut wrench suplex. It takes a lot of strength, but to do it to your own ex-tag team partner, that's incredible. Now picks up Hawk, but not until Animal reverses with a reverse head dropper. And now, wait, what's Animal doing here? Has him up for a power bomb. Oh, and then a headbutt right to the Hawk. I mean, I don't, there's not much in terms of strategy. It just comes down to who can execute the best. And a nice clothesline onto Hawk. And just like that, Animal is back into this game. Now sets him up on the top rope. Let's see what Hawk is going to do here. Or Animal, I should say, will do to the Hawk. And a suplex from off the second rope onto the Hawk. A snapmare. Oh, but then a back elbow onto Animal. Oh, nice counter onto the Hawk. And whipped over the top rope is Hawk. Only to get hip tossed right back in is Hawk. Uh-oh. Animal could be moments away from being one match away from ending this. And power slam onto the Hawk. 1, 2. No, kick out by Hawk. I mean, of course, Animal's going to have to do more than that to beat Hawk, because, I mean, you have to know that these two men don't want to lose. I mean, that's pretty obvious, really. I mean, in fact, we had a non-televised show, and it featured each member of the ex-Road Warriors. And in fact, they destroyed their opponents in record time, did Animal and Hawk. Well, now they're going up against each other, so as you can see, they are not beating each other in record time. In fact, I think they just want to go in there and kill each other, just so they can settle this once and for all in a back body drop on a Hawk on the outside. And Animal thinking he's won. Nope. Back into the ring is Hawk. And wait, what's wrong with Animal? I mean, he went down after that elbow, then a clothesline. And wait. Oh, Animal has been busted open. I think it was that elbow that busted him open, and now Animal is in trouble. And if And if he was smart, he would try to end this match as soon as possible. The longer the match goes, then it would have to favor Hawk, as Animal is losing blood. 1. No, kick out by Animal. Well, and if you're Hawk, you definitely want to put the hurting on the Animal. I mean, that's for damn sure. And now a neck breaker, a vicious neck breaker onto Animal. Is that enough to beat him? 1, 2. No, kick out by Animal. A lesser man would have stayed down after that, but Animal is not a man. He's just that, an animal. Then a DDT, or a head dropper I should say, onto Hawk, but too close to the ropes was Hawk when Animal went for the pinfall cover. And now Animal power slam again onto Hawk. And this time he's going to move him away from the ropes and go for the cover. 1, 2. No. I'll tell you one thing. Hawk is just... I don't know how Hawk is doing this. But then again, I don't know how Animal is still going at each other. And I think this could do it. Pile driver onto Animal. And that could do it. But wait a minute. Hawk, he could be making a mistake. And... excuse me. And another one. I think he wants to hurt the Animal. I think he's trying to get him to bleed and hemorrhage blood. Oh, I think Hawk is... I think he's Hawk... I can't even talk. I think Hawk is trying to kill him. And I had a feeling that this would come down to it. All but countered into a power slam is Animal. And now let's see. Nope. Back body drop on a Hawk. Or from Hawk, I should say, to the Animal. 1, 2. No. Animal... I think the hatred that Animal must have for the Hawk, I think that's the only thing that's keeping him in here. Because Animal is, like I said, losing blood real bad, and a clothesline, and a vicious one at that. Oh, and Animal fighting back, but then a jawbreaker to Animal. Oh, nice counter onto Hawk by Animal. And then a spine buster. Maybe not a double A spine buster a la Arn Anderson, but a good one at that. Went for a kick, but missed. Then a back suplex onto Animal, and both these guys have got to be... They got to be hurting at this point. Oh, no, wait. A pinfall. No, too close to the ropes was Animal. And I think the ropes might have saved him that time. And Hawk sensing victory. And of course, Paul Ellering, he's divided amongst these two. He does not want to come out and support one or the other. I think he just wants these guys to get it out of their system. And that's why he's not out here. And a third power slam. And I wonder, is that enough to beat him? 1, 2, 3, and Animal has taken the lead over Hawk. So Animal now leads the feud 2-1 over Hawk. And I gotta tell you, even though Hawk was able to bust Animal open, Animal was more than game enough and was more than man enough to take it and just keep coming at Hawk. I mean, Hawk, I give him credit for trying to put the hurting on Animal, but Animal, to his credit, came back and beat Hawk. Because, really, like I said before, a lesser man would have succumbed to, you know, having been busted open. And there were so many opportunities that, in fact, at one point after that second pile driver during that matchup, Hawk could have went for the victory right then and there, but he didn't. And his quest for revenge against Animal it costed him this match, and Animal is now one match away from finally settling this once and for all. But that was without a doubt an amazing match, and I couldn't agree more with the rating system, as Animal and Hawk are just on the rise, I'll tell you one thing. But that's going to do it for this show. I hope you enjoyed the Boston Garden Massacre, which is what we'll call this show. Until then, this is your host, Henry Jacobson, signing off, saying goodbye, and I'll see you next time. Have a great day, everybody.